So hi everyone, my name is Joshua Richards from the UK OSINT Community and also founder of OSINT Praxis. This week we'll be going through Operation Illuminate. This one was a bit more basic, 5 challenges. I think lots of people managed to get through it quite quickly, while other people definitely got tripped up on some different areas. So we'll go through those, go through the solutions, some different mindset things that I was thinking when I created these, and let's go. So Operation Illuminate, you can see for anyone who's new to the CTFs that we have lots of different categories because every single week we're releasing a new CTF. And they're all here for you to see, so you can go back and do previous weeks as well to get more up to speed with how they work. But this week is Operation Illuminate, and we can start off with the first challenge, which is out of focus. With this one, it simply says, task, what is the name of the coastal town or neighborhood where the main walking trail to this location begins? And then it gives you this image here that you can download. So that is this image here. And we now simply have to find where is this image and then see what kind of town or neighborhood that is attached to. So the point with this one is that if you look into the board, because we don't have many details surrounding all of this, but if you look at the board, there is some details that we can see here, like various numbers. And you can see with these ones here that it does seem to look very much like coordinates. So if we could identify those, then we'll know where this location is. And it's a bit hard to read, but you could probably make it out, and maybe some trial and error there, like a 3 and an 8, a 3, 3.8, n, and so on. But I also even just asked AI if that could manage to read it, and it actually does quite a good job. The example I've screenshotted here, it actually did it pretty accurately, but not perfect. But previous times when I tried this in the exact same AI, it did actually come up with the exact correct coordinates. So it goes to show you as well that with AI, you don't just type something in one time, see what comes up, and then move on. Sometimes you can try the same photo, even the same question, multiple times, and you might get different answers, which are more or less accurate. So definitely try doing that. And also sometimes you can try changing the question as well. But as you can see here, so I simply went into Gemini and asked it, can you read the text from the board? So nothing fancy, no insider knowledge from me, like knowing what it already was, just can you read the text from the board? And that then said, here are some of the text. Even though it's hard to read, this is what it managed to make out. And we can see here that we do have the 38 and all of these different coordinates. And that also goes down and tells us here that that coordinate is based in Faro de Albir Lighthouse. So that gives us that. But obviously you can go there and have a look. If we go into Google Maps, I'm just going to copy the coordinates. And that brings us right here on this trail, which again, as it said, does go to the lighthouse. So you can kind of already see in the name it's called Albir Lighthouse, but if you look back over here, we are in Albir. And I made multiple flags available for this one. So if you typed in L''Albir, that's correct. If you just typed in Albir, that's correct. And there's a few different flags that we allowed for this one. So here, again, always make sure you use the correct format in line with what we say here in the answer format. So OSINT UK and then Albir. The case sensitivity is deactivated, so it does not matter what case you do it in. Lots of people put an answer incorrectly and then they try it again with a capital letter at the start. It's just wasting your attempts and ruining your statistics because it does not matter. The case sensitivity is deactivated. And so there we get that one correct. Okay. Just reading in the chat here, ask Gemini multiple times is correct because I spent 2 days looking the trail. Yeah, in a different country. Yeah, exactly. That was something that I was looking to do in a different challenge, is put something which is suspected of being in a certain country, but actually it's in a different one. But it didn't end up working out. But it's definitely something I'm going to do in the future, because it just goes to show you can't assume things. You have to actually find all of the evidence until it can be confirmed. Okay, so then we move on to challenge number 2, which is shed some light. This one has 22 solves, and it asks us identify the location near the previous coordinates where this photo was taken. There's a building directly to the side of this photo location. You must provide the text which is written above the main front entrance. So we know now that the previous photo was taken somewhere here along this path. The coordinates say here, but actually the sign we saw in the photo is this part by here. It's this little sign. And you can see this by looking up people's walking tour videos. So if you literally just go to YouTube and we type in Albia Lighthouse, that is plenty enough to get loads of videos here of people who have walked up there and they just film themselves. And you can watch all of these. And for example, with this one that we have here, I think it was literally the first result. If we go near to the end, you can see here in this shot, this is the sign that we saw in that initial first image. And this is from 11 months ago. So there's literally videos of people walking up here 6 years ago, 11 months ago, and various different times. You can get a better idea of any changes that happened as well. Potentially chronologically kind of seeing, is this photo from now, or what year is it from, things like that. But now, because we're trying to now find this other photo, so this is the second challenge, it gives us this separate photo, which is this. So now we need to find the building, which is pretty obvious at this point. We know where we are, but it's asking us to find the building next to the photo and what text is written above the front entrance. So if we go back to Google Maps, for example, going up to the very top of this trail, this is where we have the lighthouse. And so this is the building. And if we go back to one of these, actually, let me go to Google Earth here for a moment. So in Google Earth, let's see here. So here is Albia, and over here is the lighthouse that we had. And in Google Earth Pro, so this is a software, but it's completely free, despite being called Pro. You can go in and it's all 3D'd, which is really cool. It's really fun to use this stuff. And if I zoom in here, we can try and get down to be next to the building. There we go. And now using the different controls, and I'm not a Google Earth expert or anything like that, but if you hold things like control, that allows you to pan around without actually moving. So now that we're in a decent location, we can hold control, pan it around, and we get a view like this, where we can kind of see some of that mountain and exactly how that looks. If you compare that against our photo, I think I can try maybe, well, you can see here that this photo is indeed matching with what we see in Google Earth. So that kind of confirms that this is an accurate location, that most likely the photo is taken around here on this little pathway next to the building. So now all we need to do is look for where this front entrance is and what text is above the door. So if we go back and we look at this other video, because again, there's loads of different videos and they're all showing slightly different angles and slightly different elements. If we go to this one, we can see that this one has more like drone shots and stuff that isn't in many other people's. And right here, we can see we get a very close-up shot of the front of this building where it says right above the door, this text here, like Centro Interpretación Faro de Albir. There you go. So that's the text. And in this one, it says to ensure you keep the special characters, punctuation, and any accent and tilde characters intact. So don't, change. You can see if I copy the text here. Here we go. You can see that some of them have like the accent above the O. So that's why I'm saying to keep that. Don't remove that for a normal O. And there we go. We get that one correct. So moving on to challenge number 3. Challenge number 3 is the catch. This one doesn't give us any new photos or anything. It simply says to explore the area immediately behind the building from task 2. One of the information panels details a specific animal and cites a nearby man-made installation as the main reason they're spotted from this location. Provide the Spanish name for the animal and the installation. So I'm not sure how everyone else did this. I think lots of people will naturally have tried going to Google Maps and, looking around at what photos are around on all of these blue dots. And I don't know, maybe someone got lucky with something like this. See here, this is where the photo was taken of the mountains and stuff. There's one information board here, which obviously you can't see. But also this one is not the correct one. The one that you're looking for is directly behind the building. So you might have to find a more accurate photo. Or what's easier is simply looking at these different videos. Because I think you see with this same video where we saw the information panel here, if we go to the very end, you can see he walks up all the way to the lighthouse. And if we go over more, we can pan through. And you see he's walking past this information board here. This is the one that we're looking for. So if I zoom in, and with YouTube, what you can do is basically do the comma or the full stop keys to pan forwards and backwards. And here we go. So you can see now that I'm pressing these keys, it goes by frame, not just big chunks. It's frame by frame, backwards and forwards, so you can get a better look at it. And so this information panel mentions a dolphin, and you can see the English is over there, which you can get a better look of if you go forward a few frames. The correct answer for this, you could either just put dolphin or this second word as well. I allowed both of those. And if you have a look through this, obviously lots of people will have just screenshotted it into AI and asked that as well. There's a word down here. I think this is a worse quality one. So you can up the quality here. It's an important detail, by the way. Like sometimes things will be bad quality just by default. You can literally go in and change it to HD. Now we can read it much better. Sometimes that's the same for photos on different social media websites. And so now you can see down here that it does say, it references a fish farm. And obviously this challenge asked for it to be in Spanish. So make sure that you're referencing this Spanish part. But it mentions that because there's a man-made fish farm in the ocean nearby here, you can very often see dolphins from this location because they're around eating the fish and stuff like that. So if we go back to the one here and we write in the answer, like I said, this is one of the answers. You could also put in the second word alongside the dolphin one, and that would also work. And there we go, we get that one correct. So now moving into question number 4. This one says to take a look at the attached video and identify the bird spotted along the path. Next, locate the official Spanish PDF guide for the specific trail. According to the document's fauna section for this bird, what is the Spanish term listed immediately next to presencia? So for this one, all we need to do is go to something like Google, and we can search Faro de Albir, and we can just type guide PDF. And that's enough for it to come up with all of these. I think the first one is actually in English. So you can see here it says English and it's all in English. But the second result is actually all in Spanish, which is kind of what we want. And then if you look through, you can see that there's a section for all of the plants found in this area. And then if you scroll down further, there's a section for the birds and the wildlife here. So as you kind of look through, you can see these different things like reptiles and birds. There's different lizards and different stuff like that. And then let's see here. So this one here, I don't know why the pictures are so bad quality. I'm pretty sure in most other copies they're quite, decent quality. But let me actually bring up the video first for us here. So here we go. This is the video that the challenge gives to you. And a simple reverse image search from this kind of area here easily identifies what this bird is. But nonetheless, you could even just cross-check through here. It's a very identifiable bird. And so this tells you what it is. And then over here, it says it's a residente. So you can take that and we can enter that in as the answer. There we go. And then on to the final challenge, where it asks us, looking back at the primary landmark at the end of the trail, Google Maps has a website URL connected to that landmark. What is the Google Analytics ID for this website? So for this one, all we have to do is go back to Google Maps. We can click on the actual lighthouse building, and Google shows a website linked to it here, which is visitalbir.com. If we open that up, we're on the website and we want to find the Google Analytics ID. In the challenge, I give you these kind of examples, and so this already kind of gives you the format anyway, which starts with UA. But whenever you're looking for a Google Analytics ID, there are websites you can try. There's like Built With and all of those, where you could type in that domain and it would most likely show you what the ID was anyway. But from a manual way, you can basically go into the website, right click, view page source, and then in this source code, you can simply run a search for something like UA-, and then it will come up with, it says 3 results, and we see that the second result here, even the first result as well, is actually UA 131201757-1. I mistakenly only put the answer as this part without the -1 initially, so apologies if anyone kind of did that full one and got it wrong. I've added them both now as proper answers, so whether you put it with the -1 or without, both of them will be correct now. I was basically looking for if this ID without the -1 was used anywhere else, or some like -2s and stuff like that, because sometimes the same code is used across multiple websites. So I was looking for ways to expand the challenge a bit more, and then I forgot to add back the -1. But this is the correct answer here. Oh, we need the code. See, that's what I'm saying. We always need to make sure we get the right code, or the right format. So OSINT UK. There we go. That one is correct. So that solves all of the 5 challenges for this week.